Sorry, I had to cut the recording to get the relevant files. So we were here, point 6.2.4. Okay, the management of the laboratory shall communicate to personnel their duties, responsibilities, and authorities. So if we get to the quality manual, and if we get to the same point, 6.2.4, we'll see that it says CEO quality manager ensures that laboratory personnel are aware of the relevance and importance of their activities and how they contribute to achieve the objective of the management system. Job responsibilities are defined for each lab personnel in this document. Okay, in this document. So if we get to the document now, obviously you don't have these documents yet, which is the job responsibility document, which is the 6.2 F3. So for this personnel, for this lab personnel, and which have this position, which reports to these people here, this is their primary job purpose, and this is their primary duties and responsibilities. And in case of an absence of that person, these are their deputies. Okay. And this document should be approved by the general manager and signed, and also the date should be mentioned. That's all. Quite straightforward, right? So yeah, so this is point 6.2.4. You just need a document and you just need to tell your personnel that these are their duties and responsibilities. Okay. Now we talked about all of these and they're quite straightforward to understand. In point 6.2.5, it's kind of all of this, but you're connecting all of them, okay? So let's just understand what's happening. We have some personnel. First, we're gonna make sure that they will act impartially. We're gonna do this by telling them to sign some document that says that they will act impartially and they will be legally liable if they don't do so, okay? And we're going to make sure that these personnel that are coming into the lab to do the work are competent enough. Okay, they're competent enough. And we're going to do so by checking if they pass our competence requirements. What are the competence requirements again? So we have the competence requirements here in the quality procedure manual. These are the competence requirements. So they should be qualified. These are the minimum qualifications, minimum experience they need, and minimum training and minimum skills they need. They should pass this table right here to be able to work in our laboratories. Okay. And then when they pass these tests and they can work in our laboratory, so we'll make sure that they know what their jobs and their duties are. We're going to provide them with their jobs, responsibilities, and duties and authorities. Okay. And yeah, so we are responsible for monitoring this. We are responsible for monitoring whether they are still capable of doing the test or doing the calibration. We're going to monitor this. Okay, so that's how the process goes, right? So we have the competence requirements. These are our competence requirements. Okay, and based on this, we're going to bring in our personnel. We're going to see if they pass these competence requirements. We're going to select some personnel and we're going to give them specific jobs. Okay, we're going to train them on the jobs. We're going to train them, and if they pass the trainings and if they pass the qualification test, the experience, and again, if they pass the trainings and if they have skills enough, we're going to give them a job. Okay. Now, what does giving them a job means? It means authorizing them to do that job. Okay, it means authorizing them to do that job. So I have the document for authorizing. It means basically letting them, making them responsible for that job. Okay, so this is an authorization record, which is quite important. So you have the name of your employee, okay? You have their position, you have their qualification, and you have their experience and the trainings they need. So based on all of these, okay, we're going to decide whether we can give them the responsibility of handling the job or not. Okay, so from the qualification, so for example, I check the qualification, Bachelor of Thermal Mechanical Engineering. Oh, that's quite fancy, right? So let's give it a 5 here. So here this employee will get a 5. Okay, and for example, from the interview, so we made an interview with this person here, and the interview went quite well. So I decided to give a 5 here too. From practical training, well, we don't have that of a good amount of practical training. We have 4 days training here and 1 day training here. Uh, I'm sure their quality is very high, but still that doesn't feel very high in terms of trainings. So I'm just going to give it a 3. From previous trainings, not a lot of previous trainings, so I'm going to give it a 3 here too. From past experience, 3 years of past experience, which sounds normal, sounds okay. I'm going to give it a 4. Okay. Now, if the average of these ratings is above 3, it means that I will approve them to do some jobs here. I'll authorize them to do these jobs. Okay, so for example, I can authorize them to do the calibration activities in laboratory. Can take that. Preparing all the quality documents, I'm not gonna let them do that. That needs some time. Preparing calibration certificates, yeah, maybe that's easy. Maybe they can handle that part too. So just like that, I will see which parts they will be authorized in, and I can authorize them in. Okay. And then obviously the person that did the authorization, which usually is the quality manager or the general manager, okay, or technical manager. Yeah, so let's close this up. Again, this is the authorization of the personnel. And again, we have the monitoring competence of personnel. So we see that they are competent enough now. We see that they're competent and we authorize them to do the job. But we have to monitor this. We have to monitor it every week, every year, every month based on our procedure here, which we define. We have to see if they are still competent enough after 1 year. Okay? And we need we have a document for this. We have a document for this checking. So let's real quick get to that document. So competence requirements, we already saw the competence requirements. Okay, this is the competence requirement for a calibration engineer. They should have bachelor in science, minimum experience 2 years, and the training they need, and the skills, minimum skills they need to be able to do the job. Okay, so these are the competence requirements, but we have the monitoring competence of giving approval to proceed with work. Okay, so we'll monitor this. We'll keep monitoring this. So name of the person, for example, this person, and their designation, and their qualification, and their experience. Okay, and what activity are we monitoring? We're monitoring the calibration. Okay, we're monitoring it on this date. Okay, so we can monitor anything really, and we can monitor it on some specific time. Okay, and then so we're checking for these things here. We're checking for these things, and we're going to give the person some points, and based on these points, we're going to decide whether they are able to train others, so lead, can perform tasks, or able to do their job under supervision, or incompetent. Okay. So obviously you might have someone which is currently only able to perform the test, but when you monitor their competency, you see that they've grown quite well. So now you think that they are able to train others too, okay, based on the points you gave them here. So you can just say, yeah, they're able to train others. Okay, good. So for example, here, instrument engage handling, I think they're doing it quite well, so I'll give them a 4. Okay, obviously first I have to enable lead thinkers in this document. So yeah, I'll give them 4 here. I'll give them a 4, 4, 4, 3, a 4, 4, and then a 3, and then a 3, right? So this shows that for instruments engaged handling, they're getting a 4, so they can even train other people, right? They can even train other people. But for example, familiarity of calibration procedures, they're not quite familiar with the procedures, to be honest. They are actually, they're very familiar, but they don't have the in-depth understanding of them to be training others. So we decide to keep them in the perform task only. Okay, so basically that's what this document is all about, is monitoring if they're still capable of doing the tests, or if they're not, or whether they've grown more over the course of their work. Okay, so this is a monitoring, and of course this monitoring shall be performed probably like weeks or in month gaps based on what the procedure of your company says. Okay, marvelous. So we did up until this point, which is quite important, quite impressive, right? Because point number 6 is one of the most important, like requirement number 6 is one of the most important requirements here in the standard. And in this section, we just finished 6.2.5. We have all the documents, we have the procedure, and we have the procedures, and we have our quality manuals, and that's why it's quite easy to understand. All we have to do in the future is just to follow what we have implemented already, just to fill out some documents. That's all we're going to do. Okay, so the laboratory shall authorize personnel to perform specific laboratory activities, including but not limited to the following. So just like what we said, you need to authorize these people, and we had the authorization record. So you'll authorize these people to do some job, okay, including these ones here. Of course, you can refer to these in the manual. 6.2.6, the laboratory has authorized personnel quality manager authorizes specific personnel to perform particular type of calibration, development, modification, and approval of system documentation. So basically, it just says that, hey, we're authorizing someone. The quality manager will authorize someone to do some particular job, and well, basically, this is done. This is done based on what trainings they got, their experience, their previous trainings, their qualification, educational background, and skills, and blah blah blah, which all are stored in these documents. Okay, marvelous, marvelous. So that's that. Facilities and environmental conditions. So right now we're all done with the personnel. So this is all the requirements that our people should meet in order to be able to work in the lab. Okay, so that's done. Now we'll take a look at the facilities and environmental conditions. So facilities is basically the lab location and the lab building. Okay, and how the environment affects our tests and calibrations, and how can we minimize these effects. What are the requirements for this? So we're going to take a look at that, which starts from here and ends right here. Okay, you already can see that this is quite easy and quite straightforward. All right, perfect. Bye for now.